I'm really excited tonight to introduce our speaker, Dan Chen. Yesterday when I received our November copy of Wired magazine in the department with the cover line, Love in the Time of Robots, I said, yes, I'm so glad Dan is coming tomorrow. He can talk to us and help us make sense of this exciting but often unsettling relationship that continues to evolve between man and machine. Dan is an improvisational engineer, interaction designer, and technology investigator. He holds a bundle of degrees that make for a fascinating combination: a master's degree in media arts and sciences from MIT, an MFA in digital media from the Rhode Island School of Design, a BFA in communication design from University of Connecticut, and he has been a senior interaction designer at IDEO, product designer and developer at the Economist Group, and is now a senior interaction designer at Johnson & Johnson. So we here in the department learned about his work from our alum, Amelie Klein, who was a curator at the Vitra Design Museum, and she included Dan's work in her recent show, Hello Robot. I've got the catalog here. Hello Robot, Design Between Human and Machine, which opened last spring at Vitra's campus. And we also know about him through an excellent TED Talk he gave in Vienna in 2016 about the future of intimacy with regard to robots and people. So in that future of intimacy, that is what makes Dan's design work have such immediacy and urgency. And much like the best science fiction writers, he is using speculative design to ask very profound and universal questions about our future. Through working in prototypes and storytelling, Dan invites us to reflect on new ways of communication and human experience. So tonight he will give a brief presentation, and then he and I will have a short Q&A, and then we will open up that conversation to the audience. So Dan, please come on up.
This is a servo. This is what's inside of a servo. It's got a gearbox, a motor, and an encoder. This is the code that runs the servo, tells it where to go. And this is a servo in action. And here we have two servos. And now here we have the same two servos, and it's pressing against my hand. Now here we have the same servo set up with three robotic arms in a circular configuration. And what's going on here? Here we have 4 robotic arms with voice guidance. They have a slight larger servo than the previous robot I just showed.
Spirit generator activated. Please hold your position while I generate heat spirit.
Go team. Go team. Go team. Go team. Go team. Please put your arm up in the air. Please put your arm up in the air.
A lot of my work is like observational comedy based off some kind of social convention. I convert the interaction of regular human interaction into a script for robots, making them repeatable, predictable, and relatable. And most importantly, I want people to ask themselves, what am I doing with this robot? And what am I experiencing? I want people to have this paradoxical sensation of comfort and discomfort. The comfort comes from the familiarity of touching, and also the discomfort comes from maybe the awkwardness of interacting with the robot. There are a lot of other human interactions that convey sense of intimacy or human connection. Things such as small talk, asking questions like, how's the weather? How are you doing? Where are you from? or something like getting a like on Facebook. It's like quick acknowledgement as a quick human connection. And after this talk, I would be expecting small talks like, great talk, or great job, or that was horrible, or hopefully not. I know it's expected, but I still want to hear it. So my research all started with this robotic cat. It was a class assignment. I programmed this robot cat to sort of snuggle around my feet, and feels like it's a when it's doing that, when I was like programming it, when it was snuggling on my feet, I feel like I get this sense of like it's trying to get my attention, and I couldn't help like, why is it doing that? It's this strange sensation that that it's very weird because I have full knowledge of how it works, but I shouldn't have this attachment towards it, but somehow I did. So some philosopher called this phenomenon mental commitment or mental projection. The robot doesn't have any affection towards human. It's our mental projection of affection from this robotic device. It's got a little sensor on the top. It scans for human, and then just kind of like goes up to you and snuggle around your feet like a real cat would do. Here's another example of mental projection model or demo made in 1944 by Fritz and Mariana with just shapes and movement. And then we slowly assign sort of character to those shapes, and we sort of start assigning like personality to those shapes, and you kind of slowly hate the big triangle and at the end, and see the small triangles try to protect the circle, or however you want to see it. And they're just lines and some movements. It's kind of strange how we assign emotion or character onto things for something that is totally flat. It is in our human nature to project humanities onto things, seeing faces in objects. This kind of behavior might seem playful or silly, but I see it as a design opportunity to explore. I use the term robotic intimacy technology to describe what I make. I do this to instigate comfort versus discomfort, sincerity versus insincerity, real versus virtual. For example, I took the conventional gesture of comforting someone and tried to program that into a robot to show how meaningful and meaningless the patting gesture can be. It's like when you are sad and this robot would try to comfort you. So I called this next project OK Therapist. In some contexts, the robotic intimacy technology might be better than humans. They could be more empathetic. They could be more they could be like non-judgmental. Furthermore, merging with biosensors, machine learning, or AI, the robot can be more effective at manipulating people's emotion. For example, some call centers today, they have tone detection program. They can detect your frustration level and it will patch you through the, they will patch you quicker if you sound frustrated. They also have sarcasm detection with 73% accuracy. As an interaction designer, we try to create experiences that are that feel friendly, effortless, and less awkward. Oftentimes, we use human-centered design, user experience research, and behavioral science to make human-robot interaction feel more normal. And this got me thinking, what's the most extreme case of human-robot replacement? What is it like to replace human intimacy when we need it the most? So I came out with this idea of last moment robot.
I am the last moment robot. I am here to help you and guide you through your last moments on Earth.
This is a robot that cares for you and guides you through the process of dying. When I was designing this device, I was also thinking about my grandmother. She lives 8,000 miles away. What if I can't be there for her last moment? So I was thinking about this robot that could sort of be extension of myself, helping her and comforting her. Thinking about my grandmother, I also created this machine. It's called a nostalgic touch machine. This is how it works. You record the gesture, and this is like my real grandmother's hand, and this is the machine that plays back her gesture. So this machine can record hand gesture of our loved ones and play back. I record my grandmother's gesture data when she was alive, but I could not bring myself use the machine after she passed away. This is probably because it's either gonna feel too real for me, or because I project too much, project too much emotion onto it, or machine just couldn't replicate sort of my sensation with my grandmother, the intimacy with my grandma, and then will become a huge disappointment after that. So I never really used this machine after that. Okay. There was this interesting moment when I was playing a doctor in this installation where someone pointed out that I, feels like the robot has more humane than I am, because I was like a person that's scoring people in and out of the installation, treating them as a number, but the robot is actually more sort of personal and humane in this sort of installation. While the device revealed lack of human support for a dying person, in some sense the robot is empowering the individual, helping them through a difficult time, giving them access to augmented intimacy, which for some might be good enough when there's nothing. And for others, it might be better than the real thing, depending on their views of humanity, or their ability to mentally project intimacy, or their ability to be self-content. So after the work went viral on the internet, I started to get emails like this one. People wanted to know if they can purchase this product. They thought this is a real product for some reason. It was surprising to me that people wanted to buy this device. Like, why do they? There might be a need for it, or something. I didn't know what I'm supposed to do at the time. Is having this better than nothing? If I were to sell the robot, I could be encouraging people to die alone. But if I don't sell it, people don't have access to it. People might be suffering from dying by themselves because there are nursing shortage all over the country right now. Maybe the solution is that people should make their own robots. So based on the idea of do-yourself or self-help books, I create a series of robotic construction kit that people would assemble. I call this making friends by making them. So this is friend one. Friend one comforts you while you work. It's very simple. And here is friend two. It sits on your shoulder and gently touches you. Now here is friend three. It maintains a constant eye contact. Try to get your acknowledgement and attention at all times. And here we have friend four. It vibrates while you pet it like a little cat. friend by, it will hold your hand. I attempt to extract things that we seek in a friendship. For example, someone that understands us, listens to us, and pays attention to us. People could construct and program their own robots to experience the complicated pleasure of being comforted by their own creation. This is an attempt to parse out different aspects of intimacy, such as touch. It doesn't have to be sexual. With these devices, you can upload your own sound so you can hear what you want to hear, and you can also program how you want to be touched. These devices can also reveal some sense of denial. I was also calling these series of robot, I'm fine, thank you. It's a mixed feeling of independence and desperation. It's maybe a little bit of passive aggressiveness in there as well. At this point, you might be asking, am I trying to be sarcastic with these work? Not at all. In fact, I want them to feel, I want them to be sort of honest use of like material, and it's like, robots are designed to deceive, and I try to do opposite of that. I want the user to understand what they are interacting, how they are interacting with them, so they have this like ontological moment and sort of be able to step back and see how their relationship with the robot. So I try to make them more machine-like rather than human-like. So these are the reasons for my simplistic. They are reasons for my simplistic approach in terms of form and function. I want to convey the sense of comfort and discomfort, helping the user instigate their own mental projection. I'm also interested in finding out, how far can we take this mental projection model. So to test this, I created the cardboard friend. It's purely made out of cardboard and a few servos. That's all it does. When you pet it, it moves. I was like trying to push that to extreme. It's like it's it's like it's just a box. So the cardboard friend is a modular robotic construction kit made with cardboard, motors, and some simple circuits. It does take some effort for people to mentally sort of project human quality onto it. But once the robot starts to wiggle or moving around your arm, people start to see it as an adorable animal or a baby without me prompting them what it is. In the future, technology will create new ways of interaction for mental projection. It will also create new spectrum of intimacy. It might augment our idea of intimacy that we haven't imagined yet. For example, this device here helps people see each other eye to eye while hugging each other, because when you hug a person, their face is right there, and so this device will allow you to see the other person eye to eye. Enables the virtual intimacy and physical intimacy. From making so many robots, at one moment I realized that those robots are not something that I would use myself. I sort of slowly realized that it is a way for me to reach out to others, connect with others. And in that sense, it is sort of a form of augmented intimacy for myself. So to end this, I would encourage you to expand and explore different spectrum of intimacy. and expand your palette for intimacy and dabble a little bit in everything. But it's always nice to be able to come back to the original. We want to be heard, understood, and acknowledged. Technology in the future can probably augment and stimulate or replicate our experiences. However, we need to keep asking ourselves the question of what is intimacy without humanity, rather than completely avoid or fully immerse in it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. It's fascinating work. You started to answer my first question, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about it. I mean, it's so notable that in kind of this universe of robots plus machines, like and translating to androids, and people being very interested in sort of creating very human-like machines, that your machines are not, and they're actually beautiful objects in and of themselves. But you know, you said you intentionally do that, and you're really interested in this idea of how we project onto things that are otherwise inanimate. But can you talk about that a little bit more, and maybe talk about your perspective on this sort of race to create the most human-looking robot? That's actually the Wired article I referred to, is about a Japanese designer who's trying to do that. Can you talk about that? What do you think about that?
So when I was creating my robot, I was looking at this chart. It's called Uncanny Valley, where you can sort of, the robot gets creepier and creepier the more realistic you make it. And then at one point it would be so real that so you can't tell if it's a robot anymore. So I'm just like, no, I'm trying to stay at the opposite spectrum of Uncanny Valley. So that's one of the reasons that I make my robot very robotic. At the same time, I don't want people to machines are designed to deceive, and I don't want to go that route where it is completely deceiving. And I'm trying to ask a question, not try to lie to people. Well, I'm sort of lying to some extent, but not like go full on like, oh, Android, oh, like skin and realistic looking. At the same time, that takes a lot of effort. I mean, it has its art to it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having that experience, having an artist working on that. Yeah, I just work in different spectrum. That's all, and that allows you to sort of question and also push how much are we willing to see a thing as a sort of has sort of ability for us to project humanity onto it. And the microbial robot sort of proves that, like, it doesn't have to be crazily like real. Yeah.
So a lot of your projects address kind of daily anxieties or emotional states, and the possibility of robots giving humans comfort, as you said. But several of your projects that you showed address more intense subjects like death, end of life, and I'm interested both in why are you interested in kind of exploring that territory, which is talking about comfort. That's just a subject and conversation that often makes people really uncomfortable, talking about death, and you're really thinking through it. So I'd be interested to know, like, what about that is interesting to you. But also, you showed us some of the positive reactions you got from people who wanted to purchase this product. But is that across the board, or have you gotten a mixed bag of reactions?
To answer your question, if you look at the YouTube comment on that video, the reaction is like split. It's like, I remember this comment says like, kill this guy, that whoever makes this robot. And I tend to get more positive feedback on nursing blogs, more of like negative comments around YouTube or CNET. Discovery, I get pretty positive feedback depending on which crowd you are talking to. There are a bunch of nurses wrote to me like they could actually see this in use in the hospital setting. that was like sort of alarming at the same time, sort of like I could make a difference there. Now, if I do this right, I can make sort of people's life a little bit easier. To answer your question around why death is such an interesting topic to me, I think Larry David once said that death is overrated. I just like if you observe everyday life, there's like a certain script that we follow. When someone dies, we act a certain way. It's like like sorry. What else can you say? Just like those standard things that we say, and that makes the other person acknowledge or feel sorry for you, and just like very, very candid. Like if you have like maybe 20 people die or something, it just. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be the first time. It might be like I mean, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but it's just like it feels like it's a universal thing. It's also it can be scripted and programmed as well. So I'm trying to like push that like what would that feel if I turn that sort of expected script in for the robot? Does it sound would it sound sincere or insincere? Some people might not mean it, but some people might mean it. Like it's like real human. Like how do we, depending on the context. So yeah, that's kind of what that. Like death is just I think the lady David said something about like if you tell truth about something and it's funny, and if I sort of reveal this process of how people say things, how people say things like over and over again, like this sort of repetitiveness, you sort of start to see like what's underneath it, the mechanism underneath it that drives us to do those things. I guess it's like another part I'm trying to look at.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and yeah, this idea that the robot might be more "quote unquote" honest than a human, and to some degree reliable. Let's say, with the nurse or caretaker situation, that was really interesting. And even you talked about that scenario where you were playing the role of a doctor and maybe got a little burnt out or frustrated, and I could definitely see like something like you're designing like being really helpful in situations where that caretakers do have really intense, long hours that they, definitely need a kind of emotional break from probably.
There's also, there's another reason for me to design like those robots. Like whenever you design a robot or design a device, it is like fulfilling something, right? And by creating this device, you also reveal what you are lacking. So like it's like it's almost like a criticism of like nursing shortage. It's like we create something because we need something, and does that fully replace what we lack? Yeah. So this is like also asking question of like, what do we really need here to or what's the problem that we cause us to invent this thing that fulfill this need?
Yeah. You also touched on the notion of self-help as being inspiration for the Friends series, and I remember from your TED Talk you were saying that having robots like these for you kind of helped with your confidence and in terms of presenting and and obviously this robot you mentioned when you were talking about is it this nostalgia touch robot? With your kind of because you missed the way your grandmother used to pat your arm, and obviously that became fraught, as you said, after her passing. But can you talk about the role that your own personal experience plays in the development of your objects?
Sure. All my robots are made within like maybe 2 days, or the Team Spirit generator took like a month. Whenever I have an idea, I just go to the shop and make it right away, because I know if I do too much self-editing, I will not do it. So I usually follow my intuitions. Like there's something there. Like if I'm taking a shower, it's like, oh, I have an idea, and then like the last moment, the end of life care machine, it sort of like came to me in the shower, and then I just made it in 2 days. And then the whole idea is, I tried the sarcasm before, but it never worked. So like I'm trying to be, whenever I make the robots, like, I'm trying to be very sincere about it. Like, how do I make user feel comfortable, and through like entering this store and through using this robot, and then I very meticulously pick like what paint do I put on the robot to feel that sense of like nice touch and comfort. So I use like special paint for it and everything. Leather and all that stuff to play around with the materials, and yeah, like it's like almost like like exactly like the UX designers or UI designers today, where they think about like how people use your device. But I have like different agenda, of course. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and but it all starts with the core idea of like how do I make convey a sense of comfort through robot, at the same time not have it so that it feel like it's lying to people. So like those are like my sort of design criteria: not lying to people, try to be as honest as possible, and try to provide as much comfort as possible. At the same time, have you step back and look at it, and it's like, what am I doing with this thing?
Yeah.
And having full knowledge of what it's doing to you, and what do you do then?
Yeah. So your work is speculative design / art to some degree, but if you step back, can you just think about your field and the future of it in general, and what are you excited about, hopeful about, or on the other side, what are the pitfalls you see happening with robotics?
I don't see myself as a speculative designer at all. I design stuff that I feel like I try to be make it as realistic as possible. I think that just like answers totally different questions. I mean, speculative design, it's not really my thing, but I really like to make things real and understand sort of the mechanical and like and the user experience side of things. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot what you were asking.
I mean, looking ahead to the future, I mean, are there things that in your field and among the colleagues you're working with in your own work too that you're looking forward to, or excited about?
I think ethics might, the questions of ethics might come up like a lot to come down the road. Like right now, we use user experience research, UI, and like the idea of interaction designer or user experience designer is to normalize things, making things normal or feels normal for something that is sort of weird.
Yeah.
For instance, cell phones or flying in a metal tube, like 8,000 feet or something.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre, but user experience make that acceptable. Making staring at a box that lights up acceptable. I feel like, and also like a lot of programs today, like Uber or Tinder, it tells you who you should, mate and who you should get, like which stranger's car to get into. It's like automated, and what if the future of intimacy is that the robot, would sort of guide you and like change your behavior and tell, like, manipulate how you should feel, and that's sort of start getting into this territory of it's changing your mindset, it's changing, it's doing things for you and tells you how you should feel, how the company feel like you should feel, or making you more productive, or it sort of like starts becoming the robots programming us. But I'm not saying it could be used that way. It could be totally different. It could be used for good, or I'm sure that conversation will come up down the road. I'm pretty hopeful for that, because I feel like in order for the corporation to make money, they sort of need to sort of have the balance of ethics and technology, and like right now, like authenticity is back as a marketing thing. So people try, the companies try to be more authentic, use organic stuff, and like there's a balance there where I think with AI, they might give user more control now. I mean, depending on how the company brand themselves, but I think there might be a balance there. I'm not too scared of that yet.
Okay. All right, so let's open the conversation to the audience.
Thanks, Dan. This is very evocative talk. So a couple of parts of my question. How much were you inspired by Norbert Wiener's work at MIT?
I am not familiar with his work.
Okay, so back in the 60s, he made mechanical hands, right? And I mean, the Media Lab was doing sort of stuff and gauging that through teleconference and intimacy. The other part of my question is, I assume you're not using any Z-axis, correct? Pressure?
Yes, they are using pressure. The frame one is using pressure sensor.
You are using the
Yep,
pressure?
it measures how much pressure it should give to individual person.
Okay. And in your work, have you looked at it from a qualitative perspective and in the dehumanization or the humanization that the subject feels? So for instance, you can look at someone who's dying, and if they're not in a state of dementia, do they really get depressed that this is the end of my life and I'm relegated to this?
For all my robots, there's a survey, Likert scale survey comes after the each robot. So Likert scale is like 1 through 5, like somewhat agree, most agree. So I ask them a question and then I will tile them up. So and like in most cases people liked it or they get like disturbed by it. So like my job is, I am sort of a funky designer. I would like look at the Likert scale that I got and I would be like, I'm not gonna give you that. I'm gonna make you slightly uncomfortable. So like I will try to balance comfort and discomfort, making sure that like I'm always like I want to have that paradoxical sort of sensation throughout my work. I don't want them to feel like I love this thing. I want to take it home. That means I'm doing something wrong, or for myself anyway. So I want to sort of play around with their sort of like not too fully immersed in it. I want them to be like, what the hell is this? At the same time, it's like, oh, wow, this is comfortable. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, I want them to sort of immerse out of this experience, came out that ontological moment, like sort of question what they are doing with this device. But in the case of a dying person, I think that's a little bit more serious because that's like the last chance they can experience things. I might do things differently there. Yeah,
Question?
Thanks. It's really interesting. I'm wondering if you have tried any of your devices specifically on people on the autism spectrum. I seem to remember that Temple Grandin had made herself a hugging machine many years ago, and that led to the development of the sort of less stressful slaughterhouse entrance. But so I'm wondering if you've sort of thought about this and experimented or
I definitely think
tested
about it. Wendy Jacob did the same thing. She had nice fancy chairs that squeezes you for autism kids and comforts them. I sort of think my device is for like mass, not for a specific population. But that's definitely something that I should look into.
Makes sense.
Hi. So I wanted to ask this question kind of as someone who practices a similar practice. Like I'm trying to build my own robotic boyfriend, for example. That's going to be like a 10, 50 year long project. But it's interesting because I think the only moments when I felt like it was true intimacy, I guess, was when I didn't expect it to do a thing, like if I looked away and it was doing something to me that I didn't actually program it to do. So I kind of, I feel like I'm also exploring this, like the first steps, at what it looks like to even produce something like that. And like humans just love to anthropomorphize like anything, right? So like we would rather think, like we would think that a stick, or a robot is like cuter than a real person who is not cute, I guess. But the question is kind of like, what do you think, like there's so many thresholds to us actually adopting things like this and like having them in our lives in like a continual, you know, life partner kind of way. And I have my own thoughts about it, but I want to hear what you think are the obstacles.
No, I guess adoption is probably one of the first obstacle. As a interface designer or user experience designer is to normalize things, making it acceptable to have those devices at home. I think Japan is. I have seen some companies where they shift from the humanoid robot to more industrial, like very pretty looking, like Apple design kind of sleek like device for like sex toys and things like that. Going back to your first point, where people like to be randomly touched by a robot, it's actually done by Carnegie Mellon research, where people, for some reason, they love robot like randomly touch you, but they don't like that with the human. The obstacle is to normalize things, I guess, from the user experience design perspective, making it acceptable to have it. I mean, you can, I guess that's what the design thinking workshop or all that is about, where you sort of look into, go ahead. I see. I see. I guess one way of looking at it is start parsing the real thing and understand how it works, and see what kind of translation you can sort of translate from the real thing, the real intimacy from the human to the robot, and also like asking questions: what makes you, what form or what form factor would help you to mentally project intimacy onto it? So there could be a lot of like different ways of doing it, like through research. They are forms that are like form is like form, color, and all that. Like physical industrial design has a lot to do with sort of how easy to attach intimacy to or like mentally project or seeing it as something that echoes your memory. So memory is kind of the key part. Like how do you have something that sort of recalls your memory of that sensation? It's like a lot of devices that I create, it's sort of working off our memory, like our sensation of like having a teen spirit, like hands in, or looking at that through the movie. You had recalled this moment of togetherness, and the device is just like recalling that moment, and what kind of configuration would help that to encourage that. I guess like that's one way of looking at it. To parse that out, see what works, what doesn't.
Is another word for that empathy? I mean, that's one kind of term we haven't really talked too much about, but the idea that
Definitely.
something would know you needed something without you having to tell it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Looking at our students who watched Blade Runner this week for their cultural theory class.
That's a good assignment.
Yeah.
You create those projects which are more kind of an exploration, like a mirror to the observer, whatever, like asking questions, reflecting on the observer, a very conceptual approach. And like while I was watching your first projects, I asked myself if you ever came to the point where like you have those devices who are like helping you to die, and you got people who are like actually interested in those devices because they think it's a product. Did you come to the point where you were like, okay, so like what's so interesting for them about this project? So for example, like I could do something which is going like the next step of communication, like getting physical lifetime feedback from your loved ones because they cannot be there like in location, but you can like send them a physical feedback through one of those machines, for example. So it's all about how you communicate it. Like if it's an art project or if it's a product, it's all about the communication. Did you ever get to the point where you were like, maybe I should do this?
Yeah, I
maybe I
thought
should make
about
money.
it. I thought about it and I sort of like gave out on the idea. I mean, there's ethical issues around making the device, actual production device. At the same time, I feel like the device feels kind of useless.
Well, it's all kind like how you communicate it. Like if you're saying it's like a phone, but it's you don't talk, but you get like a physical response. Where do you have the ethical problem there? Like it's all about the communication.
Yes.
But
so here's where I turn around and sort of like think about it. Like no, it's like the device should. I mean, I guess the better solution is, of course, to encourage a community forming. Like so we'll help this person, guide them through. I mean, it might be a different solution. This solution might be the best for some people. At one point, I was like, maybe I should make this device, but I'm sort of turning around and it's like, people should have access, at least access to creating this device. I shouldn't deprive them from not having this, or so I sort of turn around on that viewpoint. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
So you wanted the people to design the object?
No, I would make this open source so people can make it. So it's on their hand. That's what the making friends by making them sort of. It's like an intern project between this and the open source end of life care machine, where people could make their own. Well, maybe in the process of making, they will make friends. I don't know, like real friends. I mean.
Okay, so you didn't really come to the point where you're like interested in having like a second phase of like actually producing something out of an explorative project. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just like interested if
like making it manufacturable, or
like from the feedback you get, there's always something you can win and you can use and produce.
I'm definitely interested.
I'm just interested if you're ever like getting to this other phase, or if for you it's really more about like exploring this like a lot of different kind of subjects.
I think I'm interested in both.
Okay.
I kind of want to actually produce them and see what it would be like, just to see. I think that's part of the exploration. It's just like making it mass producible, but at the same time that's a whole nother game, like business and manufacturing and all that stuff. That's why I think the sort of DIY is sort of interim to making that mass production. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, because if you see a movie, the robots are always these humanoid thingies, and yours, especially your friends by making friends, I don't know, I don't see them at the very other end of the spectrum where there's the factory robot, but they also ignore ergonomics in a way. So this shoulder thing is triangular, but it could have also been rounded to just sit nicer on your shoulder. Or the thing that pets you is just a stick. It could have been a little bit, I don't know, nicer without being humanoid. So I wonder what your vision is for how robots will look like in the future, or how you design yours.
Looking at how they design robots in Japan, like sex toy in Japan, I feel like they might look like my robots, I think. I feel like, I don't know this is my theory. I think it makes it more acceptable to have those at home because it's more subdued, it's almost like appliance. I'm not sure. This is like my guess. People might like the sort of honesty or use of material and breaking down that as like breaking down that complexity for us to digest versus having a real-looking robot that's in front of you and that act and work like a real robot. I think that just like too much things to process for a person. That's just my guess. I'm not sure what it will be in the future, but I feel like simplicity really helps a person sort of engage and feel more comfortable with the device, and that's just my guess.
I guess just a follow-up question: what category would they be in? Is it home appliance? Is it?
I think it would
fashion?
start as
Is
a
it-
home assistant first.
Yeah.
It would probably Amazon might make it first. I think they already make robots, small robots like that, that just answers questions and things like that. I mean, you know, Alexa or Siri sort of have no face, but you sort of like, you know, remember when they first came out, you start talking to them and it's like, it's kind of fun, and now it's like normal to use it, talking to it. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So moments ago we were talking about empathy and trying to get a response that you don't have to ask for. And I'm wondering with these kind of robots if biofeedback is a way to do that. Like your body, if I'm having a panic attack, I'm having physiological responses that kind of come before I'm even at the panic attack. You can like circumvent that. So is that something you've ever played with in your work or that you know of other people doing with this, that like biofeedback response?
The way that I inject empathy into my robot is through the way I designed them. I never thought about like real time, like fix your problem right away. So almost like a medical device. But I do see a potential of these robots doing that in the future. You know, giving that if we assume that they can actually predict this person's will do or what will happen to them, I think that it could be a lot of like usefulness around this area. But you know, like a lot of like user research, design thinking, it's all around empathy and also the you know, user experience design, all that.
Hi. So you were talking about how maybe for people who are on their last days of life, they're using this robot that you made, and that it might inspire some sort of uneasiness in them because it is their last moments and they are with something that isn't human. And I was thinking, under what other circumstances could this be maybe more acceptable or not as difficult? And it came to mind people who are on life sentences, like prisoners, and would, obviously not talking about budget or like, you know, all that other stuff, would that be another opportunity to still comfort a human being when maybe other humans wouldn't be able to, you know?
Yeah,
Is that? Yeah.
I mean, that's an option. I also feel like it could use for a lot of people today. I feel like a lot of people hate other people. They love their pets more than people. They hate their relatives. They don't want them to be around. They want to fight who owns their toasters or laptop after they die. And they don't want them to be around. They don't want to, you know, sort of like the feisty drama going on around their family. So it doesn't have to be inmate. It can be just regular people that hate their family or love their family or doesn't want any craziness going on in their life. Or, you know, like depending on who you ask, they have different experience with humanity.
Have you explored the other end of life, in fact, early delivery births? These children are stuck in incubators, and their parent, you know, many decades ago, there was a study about maternal deprivation with monkeys, and they put them, you know, with a fuzzy thing, and that seemed to work as a substitute. You said this depends on memory, but is it possible that premature people who are stuck in incubators could benefit from this. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's I think the thing you were mentioning about is the rhesus monkey experiment. Yeah, that's a great example. I feel like there's, I mean, memory is part of it. I think human nature is also part of it. Like we have tendency of, I think it's our survival skill, like, human nature. Like we want something comfortable. We want to have that baseline of comfort. That's why I guess the monkey goes to the soft little fake mommy and then goes to the other one for milk. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that aspect of sort of intimacy or connection there. Not just memory. Yes, that's absolutely right.
So I think we might have a couple more questions, but let's take them out to the studio and take a break and have some drinks and snacks. But first, please join me in giving Dan a big round of applause for a great talk.